Hi guys, what's happening? Time is 11:22 oven standard at my father-in-law's house. Broadcasting from here today because yet again, another day of car wars. Yeah, we were working on the starter yesterday, but had some trouble, some snags, and so today it's going to be round two with the car, with the van and that starter. But anyway, so I'm over at my father-in-law Carl's house and waiting on him. Joe, what's happening with you, dude? Just preparing for another day of working on this doggone car. Yeah, day one didn't go so hot. We got the oil change, but not the starter. Oh my gosh. Watching YouTube videos on how to switch a starter out because I am not a gearhead. So I've been watching these YouTube videos, and of course it all looks so easy. And the cars in these videos, when they're working on them, the motors and the parts they're working on are not completely covered in black grease, like my car. I mean, so, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But anyways, my father-in-law is not feeling too hot today, so waiting on him. Hopefully he'll be feeling better in a little bit. What's happening with you, Joe? How's work treating you? Now, I've griped about this before. The Facebook Live delay. And it was so delayed yesterday that my wife was watching from her work while I was on. I didn't even see that she was watching until after I was done broadcasting, so she thought I was ignoring her or something. I don't know. But anyways, what's this? Just got some friend request. Got one of those fake friend requests, you ever get those? Get these friend requests from I don't think it was a real person. I get these friend requests from people who look like supermodels or something. I've never heard of their names before. Let's see. Joe says, works good, sometimes aggravating. I hear you. I don't know exactly what you do. I know you told me you work sales in metal or something like that. So, into heavy metal. Here's my father-in-law. Still feeling under the weather?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not too hot. Not too hot feeling. Pretty chilly out there today. Hopefully it'll stay dry, though, if we're going to be working on this van. Last night I was candy packaging. Chocolates. My wife's making all these candies for this craft show. Tonight it looks like I will be fudge packing. Yes, she made fudge, so yeah, fudge packing. But literally fudge packing. We'll be packaging real fudge, not. Anyways, yeah, that sounds great, yeah. But, geez, my brother worked at Harry London factory, and that was his job description for a while, was fudge packer, yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's what I was doing last night. Oh gosh, yesterday was insane. Oh my gosh. I got sent with the task of going to the bakery and chocolate supply store, and had a list about that long of stuff I had to get. It just says better packer than packee, than the packee. Yes, definitely. 'tis better to give than to receive, eh? Um, oh my gosh. Should have seen me in this store with this big list, all these chocolates and little boxes and packages and stuff to buy. It was like Mr. Mom or something. I don't know if you remember that movie, Mr. Mom. I was completely out of my element. Had this little old lady in the store following me around, helping me gather up all these things. But the good thing that helped was, see, I went over the list my wife wrote out for me. I went over it 2-3 times with my wife before she went to work. So I made 100% certain I knew exactly what I was getting from the store. I wanted to know how many pounds of whatever I needed to get, how many counts of each item, you know, like boxes and baggies and crap like that. I wanted to know exactly how much I was getting because one time when we had first gotten together, I was sent out, I was given the task of buying supplies for holiday and was supposed to get out, buy nuts and stuff for around Christmas time, and I ended up, instead of buying so many ounces, I got pounds of these nuts and came home with big, huge bags. So now I make sure, you know, that I know exactly what I'm going to get. Joe says, where'd you get that pumpkin tea? This t-shirt, I'm going to show all of it. No, I'll show all of it. I'm going to be working on a car, so I'm looking pretty hillbilly today. I've got a hole in it right here. This shirt is, I don't even know how many years old, 5, 6 years old. Got it at Walmart. Got it at Walmart one Halloween season. And another shirt I got around the same time was, it was like this. It was all one color. It was a white t-shirt and it had a skull on it. Had a skeleton on it, real big. The print was really huge, just like this pumpkin shirt. Let's see, Joe says, going to the Carnival of Horrors this weekend, that would be awesome apparel for it. Yes, it would. Carnival of Horrors, I don't even know about that. Sounds awesome, though. There goes the clock. Carnival of Horrors, that sounds like a lot of fun. Where's that at? Akron, Cleveland? Let's see. No, I was starting to think if I went to a haunted house last year. I think I did. I think I went to the Factory of Terror. Oh, it's at Blossom. Joe's saying that's at Blossom. At Blossom, the Carnival of Horrors. Sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. Now, I heard another fun place is, a buddy of mine told me about, because he lived in Cincinnati, told me about Kings Island. I guess they have a Halloween thing every year. He said it's pretty cool too. Never been to that. I've never been to one of the theme park Halloween things. You know, like Cedar Point, I guess, has one too. I've never been to theirs either. I haven't been to Cedar Point in 20 years, maybe, something like that, which is unthinkable to a lot of people. You know, because I know a few people who have, like, I don't know if they call them season passes or whatever, but I have not been there in decades, probably. Or actually to any roller coaster park. Well, hold on here. I was at Disney World probably 15 years ago, which is not a coaster park, but it is a theme park. I was there probably 15 years ago, I'm guessing. Maybe a little less. But, yeah, Disney World's pretty rad. Wouldn't mind going back there. Got a lot of kids that have not been to Disney World, and so that would be cool before they're all old and able to drive, you know. getting to be old, real old here. But yeah, I haven't been to a theme park in a long time. But I think it was last year I was at the Factory of Terror and I saw the Evil Dead musical. I think that was last year, which that was pretty cool. Let's see, what is it? Speaking of horror plays, I've also seen Night of the Living Dead on stage. But I think that Night of the Living Dead was played pretty much straight. You know, whereas Evil Dead the musical was a comedy, which that was a comedy where, you know, you wanted to make sure that you were wearing scuzzy clothing too, because blood got on the audience. They actually had like pipes and stuff that sprayed down blood on you during the Evil Dead musical. It was pretty messy, so, but it was fun. I'm trying to think where the hell else I've been. But anyways, this year for my birthday, my cousin is taking me to see Night of the Living Dead remastered in some, I don't know, something 1000K or whatever the hell, some super ultra fine transfer from the original negatives. So it should be the cleanest, nicest looking version of Night of the Living Dead ever. And they're going to be playing it in the theaters, and my cousin's taking me to that, so I'm pretty jazzed about that. Joe says, I went to the Factory of Terror last year, too. It's huge. Yes, it is. It is big. And I remember there's like a hall of mirrors in it. And I don't know if they do that every year. Okay, I haven't been there enough to know what things are in there, you know, what things stay there every year. I don't know if they change everything around each year or not, but they had a hall of mirrors, and that was pretty cool. And kind of confusing in a way. But it was fun. Because I always thought, man, if I was in a real hall of mirrors, I would freak out, you know. I'd be losing my crap. But it wasn't bad. Joe says that Night of the Living Dead thing sounds cool. Yeah, it was. If you're talking about the play, it was cool. And what's up, Gary? How we doing? And as for seeing Night of the Living Dead in the theater again, that's always cool to me, because that is one of my all-time favorite movies. So anytime they show it in the theater, I like to see it in the theater. You know, I mean, I've watched it at home, you know, at least dozens of times, maybe over 100 times, you know, which is still cool. But seeing it in the theater is definitely a hell of a lot more fun. It just is. And I think about stories from folks, you know, like I've heard so many people from the generation before us who that was like their first date with their wife or their husband was going to see Night of the Living Dead, and people being so scared from it and having nightmares and sleeping with the lights on for weeks afterwards. And so that's what's cool about seeing it in the theater, is it makes me think, you know, I try to pretend that this movie just came out, but I tell you, Night of the Living Dead, it still holds up. I think it really holds up for how old it is. It's still a fun movie.
Excuse me for a minute. There was a movie on the movie, the new version of that movie.
New version of Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Color,
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the one, you know, they made a remake of Night of the Living Dead in what the hell was that, 1990?
Yeah, that was from the 80s, I think.
Joe said they need to have a play for that scary movie you talked about before the one with Bubba. Okay. Well, they had, let's see, Night of the Living Dead, Then they had Dawn of the Dead, where they went to the mall. And then they had Day of the Dead with Bubba, you know, the trained zombie. What's up, Sean? We're talking about some George Romero movies, some zombie flicks. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead. I really like that movie. Watch that countless times. Watched Day of the Dead countless times. Not nearly as much as I've watched Night of the Living Dead. I've watched that a heck of a lot more than I've watched any of the other ones following, but I do like them. And then they had a Night of the Living Dead 1990, which I think Tom Savini directed that, which, of course, if you're into gore effects, then you know who Tom Savini is. One of the splatter masters, I guess you'd say. Joe asks, Bubba 1 is called Day of the Dead, ? Yeah, that's Day of the Dead. And, you know, that's the original Day of the Dead because they ended up making a remake of Dawn of the Dead. And they made a remake of Day of the Dead. But the original Day of the Dead, I'm going to guess, I'm not 100% certain, I'm going to guess was made around 89. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was made in the 80s. That's my guess. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, Day of the Dead had Bubba in it, and they were underground in an underground storage facility, and which, I'm trying to think, Day of the Dead is one of the movies I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen any real-life locations for that movie, but I have seen some of the locations for Dawn of the Dead, like the shopping mall, which, you know, I've been in the mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. It's a mall that Dawn of the Dead was shot in. I've been there. I wanted to go to the little airport that was in Dawn of the Dead near the beginning, but I haven't been there. And of course, I've been to the graveyard cemetery from Night of the Living Dead. I've been there a couple times, which was cool. And when we went there, before we went there, we looked up specific gravestones and stuff on some website for the Night of the Living Dead film, and found specific cemetery or gravestones that were in the movie. That were, you know, there were scenes in the movie, so you could look up these names on this website and then find them in the cemetery, and you knew exactly where these scenes took place in the cemetery, which was pretty cool. And not a whole lot looks different in the cemetery. And, you know, the Night of the Living Dead cemetery, which is outside of a little town called Evans City in Pennsylvania, which it's not really a city. It's barely even a village from what I recall. But cool place. And I'm not sure exactly what farm the house was at from Night of the Living Dead, because it's been torn down. So I don't know how exciting that would be to try and locate that anyways, because there's no house there anymore. I don't know. Well, maybe they built a new house there. Who knows? Maybe that's happened. But in Day of the Dead, I'm trying to think. I can't remember what storage facility that was shot at. See, there's a few underground storage facilities that you know, that are like caves. That I think there's one called Stone Mountain. Maybe it's Stone Mountain. I think that might be the name of the one. But I mean, it is so big that, yeah, they got cars stored there and everything else, and anything you can think of, people pay to have it stored underground, but it's so big you can drive cars around and trucks around inside of these caves, which of course I haven't been there. I think it's Stone Mountain. I'm not 100% certain though, which would probably take about 2 minutes of doing some searching online, and then you can find out exactly where it's at. But another cool thing about Night of the Living Dead is I have met Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman and Kyra Schon. Okay, and now their significance is from Night of the Living Dead. Okay, if you remember the bickering couple that were in the basement with their little girl who was bitten by a zombie. Okay, these are all three of those people. Okay. Carl Hardman played the husband, and Marilyn Eastman played the wife, and Kyra Schon, I think I'm saying her name right, played the little girl. And so what was cool is I went to a horror science fiction convention and got to meet all three of them. What's up, Jonah? So I got to meet three of the people from Night of the Living Dead, so that was pretty cool. I don't make it out to conventions very often. I wish I went to more conventions, but I don't, you know. A lot of kids, and I just don't get out as much as, you know, as a lot of people. But I did meet those three people, and I must say, Carl Hardman has passed away now. I don't know about Marilyn Eastman, but they were all three really cool people. Very down-to-earth people. Got to talk to them about the making of Night of the Living Dead, and you know, that was cool. See, Jonah says, good morning from the Canton VA. I took my grandpa to his appointment. Well, that was nice of you. I hope your grandpa does well. Hope, you know, whatever problems he's having, hopefully they will remedy them. I didn't even know there was a VA in Canton, but I learn something new all the time. Yeah, what's cool about the Romero thing is I am a big George Romero zombie fan, and what's cool is most of these sites are not that far away. You know, they're in western Pennsylvania, where he shot a lot of his movies, so that makes it really cool. Jonah says, I am proudly wearing Maslin gear in enemy territory. Dun, 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 dun. So you get to be the jerk wearing the Maslin Tiger stuff in Canton, huh? The one everybody's looking at and giving the mean looks to. I don't know if people actually act like that. I don't know. Every now and then, you know, in Maslin, I'll see people wearing McKinley shit. And, you know, I don't really look at them bad. I just see them, see they're wearing McKinley stuff, and I'm like, prick. No, I don't do that, but yeah, it is weird. It is weird, though. Growing up in Maslin, it's like, I will never wear red and black. You know. Sean says, wasn't there also one called Survival of the Dead? I believe it was one of Romero's final zombie flicks. I think you are correct. I'm not 100% certain on that. I think you're right, though. I think there was one called Survival of the Dead. And the reason why I don't remember it so much is I think I only watched a movie one time. Okay. Jonah says, I like to rub it in on Who Has the Bell. And that would be Jonah is talking about the victory bell for the Tiger, for the high school football here. For anybody who's not in the know about that. And Jonah, if you want to share a little bit about that victory bell, you can. I don't know. Is that just a Maslin McKinley thing? It is just Maslin McKinley, right? Sean says, don't jinx us. You're stirring up Sean's superstitious vein here. These words you're going to jinx us talking about the bell. I remember the bell being in the cafeteria when I was in high school, which was pretty cool. Oh, man. The victory bell. I got to do a father-in-law checkup here. How are you feeling, Carl? Good? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, guys, I'll tell you, if you guys are Romero fans and you like going for a drive, it's a lot of fun finding those locations. What's beautiful with this GPS we got now is not a whole lot of work to it, you know. I mean, somebody else out there has nerded up and found out all these locations. Sean Stout says, "Hi, Carl."
Hi.
He says, "Hello." Which I don't know if you guys watched it the other day, but Carl told me some stories about a guy. I don't want to call him names, okay? I don't want to call another human being names, but the word idiot does come to mind. A friend of his who used to help him work on cars, who did some goofy shit and helped ruin some cars. But yeah, there were a couple little ditties in yesterday's show where Carl talked about what happened to some cars when his friend helped him. And Carl's got quite a few funny stories, which maybe in the future I'll do kind of an interview thing with my father-in-law and talk about some more funny stuff. It's, you know, and that's a cool thing. I like talking to people older than me who have been around the block longer, and Carl's a guy who's been around the block more than 2 times. So he's got a lot of good stories to tell. But I like talking to the older folks and learning what I can. I really believe that senior citizens do not get enough respect, at least in America. You know, I know there's other cultures where once you approach a certain age, people respect older people more, whereas in America we try and just stick people in a home, and that to me is not cool. But anyways, yeah, sometime I'd like to get Carl on here and see if he'd talk about some other crazy shit. But you feeling better, Carl?
Yeah.
You're about ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, my father-in-law is feeling much better, so I'm not going to go into what is aggravating him health-wise right this second, but whatever, it's not going to keep him down. 74 years old, and the man gets up and gets on the ground, crawls around under a car, gets right back up, does something else, gets on the ground, messes with the car, gets back up, and let's just say there's been very few times where he's gotten any help from me getting back up off the ground. So, whereas my big ass, getting up off the ground is an event. I got to plan the shit out. Okay, I'm going to put my hand here. I'm going to put this hand here. I'm going to exhale while I'm pushing myself off the ground. Really got to focus the chi. It's not that bad, but it ain't good either. I got to lose another 80 pounds, I think. Well, 75 pounds, and I'll be springing up better. But so you skinny guys got it made. Of course, I let myself get to this point now, didn't I? But anyways, yeah, my father-in-law gets around real good for an older fella, so I give him respect for that. Plus, he helps work on the car and doesn't expect any payment except a beer or two here and there. How the hell can you argue with that? But if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have to shit on my cars that I've fixed would not be fixed, because he's kind of like, he knows his stuff and just kind of guides me. So I give him props for that. But I'm going to have to get off of here because we're going to have to get rolling, and I've got to buy an overpriced socket or two at the store. I say overpriced because, you know, when you buy them by themselves and you got to pay a few bucks for one little piece, you know, they're making lots of money at these auto stores. But then again, when you're in a spot like me and you can't afford to just buy a whole set of something, you know, and you got to have that socket or whatever, you shell out the bucks. Sean says, have a good day, guys. Thank you, Sean. I hope all you gentlemen and gentle ladies who may watch us have a great day, too. Thanks, Sean and Jonah and Joe, for participating today, guys. I've got to get out there and, once again, get my hands dirty. And so, wish us luck. Hopefully this will only be a 2-rounder and we'll get this thing done. But it's weird though working on this part, because where it's attached, you barely can see anything. You almost got to feel your way around, and that makes it challenging, you know. And you guys already heard me. I am not a gearhead. Joe says, later, bro. All right, later on, guys. Whatever you do, be safe, be careful, have fun, and don't name it after me. And I'll holler at you later. Be back on tomorrow. Bye.